Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and we are here with day 149 of Coffee and MTG, the morning talk show where we talk all things Magic the Gathering. At the first part of the show, Q&A and Magic discussion. Second part of the show, we do deck list review. So if you have a deck list, the 75 you always wanted some feedback on, better believe you can submit it and be chosen at random to get some feedback both from myself and the community. So step one, brew up that cup of coffee, and then let's brew up some Magic conversation. And what is going on in this world right now? Hold on. I'm just switching to the Magic category, as I have to do almost every single morning. Well, maybe I could start things off. I had a pretty exciting weekend. I made I had a nice, decent 5-2 finish in the Modern Challenge on Saturday, playing Simic Merfolk. I didn't even play against a single Uro deck. Not one single Uro deck out of my 7 rounds. I still finished off with a 5-2 finish. And then I had the complete opposite record on Sunday, going 2-5, which was not pleasant, but the experience still taught me something, because Pithing Needle ended up being like one of the best cards in my sideboard. Let's take a look at Pithing Needle. This card's been around forever. I mean, this is not a new card. This is a super old card. As Pithing Needle enters the battlefield, name a card. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. So I don't know if there's another archetype out there that needs to hear this, but like, Pithing Needle seemed amazing for me. You know, I was able to go, my opponent goes turn 1 Expedition map. They're on Eldrazi Tron. I go turn 1 Pithing Needle. Name your Expedition map. All right. And they didn't get the Tron mana that game. And they had 2 Walking Ballistas in hand. Normally, I tell you what happens in that situation. They go turn 3 Ballista, 3/3 creature, eat up a Lord, make it even larger next few turns, and then I'm really super dead. Pithing Needle prevented my opponent from like going over the top, because I was able to nail that damn Expedition map. Now, second situation. So I was able to beat Expedition map, but I was also able to beat Devoted Druid. So I was up against the Devoted Devastation deck, and normally this deck just crushes me, just destroys me. I have no chance. I go like 0-2. I don't even scrap out a game. But Pithing Needle can name Devoted Druid, because Pithing Needle says activated ability to sources with a chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana ability. So now Devoted Druid has 2 abilities. One of them is a mana ability, but then there's this other one, put a -1/-1 counter on Devoted Druid, untap Devoted Druid. That's not a mana ability. Trying to untap itself is not a mana ability. So you shut that aspect of this card down, and then they're just not online anymore, and they can't get infinite mana. If they don't have infinite mana, then they cannot win. So I ended up losing the match, but I did win the game that I had a Pithing Needle. So anyway, Pithing Needle, and then you look at it further. Like, I was able to beat Sodek on Saturday because I was able to play Pithing Needle on Giver of Runes. This card, by the way, Giver of Runes, is starting to be a pain in the ass for me. I mean, this is very difficult to beat. If you have several Giver of Runes in play, they protect each other, and it's like near damn impossible as you get through. But again, if you've got the Pithing Needle, you name Giver of Runes. Now this is suddenly a 1/2 creature, and it's useless to them. It's absolutely useless. What else did I name? I named Walking Ballista. Named Walking Ballista. And it was actually interesting because my opponent had a Walking Ballista on 3. I had 2 Lords in play, so there were 3/3 creatures. And I have another Lord in my hand that I want to Vial into play. But if I activate my Vial, they're just going to kill one of the Lords. So what do? First, I play the Pithing Needle. And by the way, if they let it resolve, it's too late. Then you name Ballista, and then it's all over. They have to do all their things in response to the Pithing Needle. So, for example, if they sacrificed their Ballista in response to Pithing Needle, I could name something else, because there's no Pithing Needle on the battlefield anymore. I could name Karn the Great Creator. If you have Karn the Great Creator in hand, I don't care. You can't get the Ensnaring Bridge anymore. So anyway, I named Walking Ballista. What else did I name? I think I named Colossus Hammer. There's some Colossus Hammers on the battlefield, and even if you could cheat it onto a creature for 0 mana, nope, it's not going to happen. Colossus Hammer. Can't equip it anymore, thanks to Pithing Needle. Pithing Needle. Anyway, Pithing Needle was actually an all-star for me. I'm surprised at how much this hits the format. Maybe so. I don't. This is just from the Merfolk perspective, but maybe for other decks, they would also like Pithing Needle in their sideboard. Actually, seems reasonably positioned in Modern. There's, I mean, it doesn't hit. I wouldn't say it hits the super big decks, although it does hit Elvish Reclaimer from the Titan deck. And it might as well be as good as removal. Elvish Reclaimer. Boom. I mean, it'll still get this +2/+2 ability if there's enough cards in the graveyard, but still, Pithing Needle is like, will prevent them from tutoring for lands. Anyway, I think it hits like a lot of the more tier 2, tier 3 decks, which is still a huge chunk of Modern. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. I actually think Pithing Needle is reasonably positioned. And I'm starting to see more engineered explosives in the metagame, which you can also name. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for showing up this morning. Messiah says, this is a strictly worse Spyglass. That's 2 mana. That's too late against Expedition Map. If your opponent goes Expedition Map and you take your turn, you play a land and pass. Spyglass. So what he's actually referring to is, people don't know, there is another Pithing Needle effect for 2 mana that you can see your opponent's hand before you name something. It might be better than Pithing Needle on the play, but it's worse on the draw. That's all. Good morning, Grim Ducky. Good morning, Mikey J, Realny, Balada. Nice Among Us games, Balada. Morning, Mikey. It's not a mad ability, it's a pure BS ability. Nardoto, Cactus of Ishmok. Do you think Triton Shorestalker is usable as a second 1-drop? Not in Modern. It's too weak and too small. It comes down to power more than anything else, not the like any evasion. So there's going to be a lot of situations where like the evasion doesn't matter. You just need like to get damage in. Well, to be honest, I haven't experimented with this card for an incredibly long time, and I'm using less Spreading Seas than I ever did before. So maybe it's possible, but like it's just too weak. It's too tiny of a body. After I've played with Kamena Speaker for so long, it's a world of difference. Oops. Oh, it knew. It's just a world of difference between this 2/2 creature for 1 mana and a 1/1 creature for 1 mana. Unblockable is not nearly as useful as just a larger creature for 1 mana. Like every other deck. You look at Swift Spear, for example. Swift Spear is not really a 1/2 creature. It's like a 4/5 creature, or if not much larger than that. What is the average amount of damage a Swift Spear does? That's a good question for the Merfolk, or not the Merfolk community, just the Magic community. How big is Monastery Swift Spear and Soulscar Mage? Well, maybe let's stick with Swift Spear. Like, how big is this creature? Yeah, it says 1/2, but on average, how much damage does this creature deal divided by the number of turns that it got? I bet it's at least a 3/4. I bet this creature is at least a 3/4. It's a 1 mana 3/4. You know what I mean? I finished 70th something yesterday, losing to Ensoul Artifact. Ooh, it's a rough challenge. I had a rough challenge on Sunday as well. You're on Gobos. Well, hope you knew what you're getting into. Time for Merfolk to turn into a prison deck. That's right. Would you be playing with Needle in the leagues as well, or do you feel that it's more for the challenges? I would play it in the leagues as well. I would absolutely play it in the leagues, especially since I expect more Tron to be in the leagues than in the challenges. Oh, Revoker. Okay, so that's a good point. Now, Revoker. I do like my Revoker. I own Revokers in my toolbox. But the thing is, it can die to creature removal. And again, cannot name Expedition Map on the draw. I have nothing against Revoker, actually. I think Revoker is a good card. I do like it. I especially like it against Control, because you can name the Planeswalkers and it's a creature that can easily get through damage because there's no blockers. But in any matchup where there's going to be blockers, I think Pithing Needle is just going to be better. In any matchup where it's going to be more creature-centric, creatures on the battlefield, Phyrexian Revoker will never deal damage because it doesn't get evasion. It's just a 2/1 body, and it's just liable to get hit by removal. But good creature, very good card, very good card. I'm just going to prefer Pithing Needle here. Good morning, Lumberjack. Morning, M. Gavier. Spyglass is good with the Chalice plan, though. It's not many decks, or any, where I'd want both in the deck at the same time, though. What about Jade Bearer plus Branch Walker? Jade Bearer by itself is not a good turn 1 play. This Jade Bearer is so close to being like the best card ever. So close. Okay, let's read this card. It's so close. Okay, so when Jade Bearer enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on another target merfolk you control. Another one. Not herself. Why? Why did they have to include that? Because this could have been, if you could just put on any merfolk, Jade Bearer herself could be a 2/2 creature. It would be fantastic. This would be the absolute. This would be like way better than Commander Speaker, obviously. But in addition, but also you could just buff up other creatures randomly whenever you wanted to if you drew a late game like Jade Bearer. I mean, that's what it does. But the problem is Jade Bearer is not good by herself on turn 1 when we really need her. That's the problem with Jade Bearer. We need, if I have a turn 1 play, I'm going to play Jade Bearer basically as a 1/1. Not good enough. Pretty good card, though, overall. Okay, so back to the Swift Spear discussion. Zai says probably 3/4, 3/4. We got to ask M. Hayashi. M. Hayashi probably has the answer. He's been throwing around a lot of... In M. Hayashi's deck, Swift Spear might be like a 4/5, a 5/6. Those lava darts. I'm playing Pithing Needle in mono red deck wins, and it's putting in work against all decks. You hear that? You hear that? Pithing Needle. Pithing Needle is just quietly like a pretty good card right now. Oh, Gobbles is doing good for Cactus of Ishmok. Last 5 leagues, a 4/1/5. Ooh, that is actually really good. And a 2/3 while being slightly drunk. That's actually excellent. Good morning, the Greedy King. Does Merfolk actually need any more support? Well, considering like we're considered a tier 3 deck and we have like no good 1-drop, yes. Give us more support. Here's the problem. Okay, so I think I understand where you're coming from in terms of laughing at us. Merfolk gets a lot of cards printed, but they're all useless. They're all, almost all of them are really bad. Like the whole Exelon thing, we literally got Commander Speaker. We got a 1-mana 2/2 creature. If we have an island out, which we very often don't on turn 1, because I'm casting this with Cavern of Souls or Botanical Sanctum. And we also got a Vanilla Lord that costs a 2nd color to splash. Merfolk Mistbinder. This is everything we got from Exelon and Rivals from Exelon. This is everything. 2 sets, partially focused on Merfolk. And we got a lot of draft crap. Trash. Just absolute garbage. It reminds me of the original days of like Silvergill, Adapt, and Mara Redri. There's a lot of draft garbage out there. So we've gotten a lot of cards printed, but did we get support? That's another question. Did Merfolk get support? I don't know. This is a fucking joke, in my opinion. But I mean, I'm doing what I can with what I have. You know, I'm making the best of a bad situation, I guess. Horror Tribal with Revoker, the Thing in the Ice, and Bedlam Reveler. I don't get it. You got a Horror Tribal with Thing in the Ice and Bedlam Reveler. I don't understand how this would... Oh, they're all horrors. I thought there was some interaction between each other. It's just a Horror Tribal, blue-red Horror Tribal. It's possible. Merfolk Skydiver is the Jade Bearer we would have wanted. Huh? Jade Bearer is too powerful to print that way nowadays. Well, Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Give it to me anyway. I mean, like, imagine chaining a bunch of Jade Bearers together and, like, pumping up, like, this one big, ginormous creature. I guess that's just a bad Champion of the Parish, though. Champion of the Parish is like a Jade Bearer for itself every turn. Hey, Jaybird. All the new merfolk see play index other than merfolk. That's true. Emery, Skydiver. This was new one. Oh my god, what's the price on this thing? Hull Breacher? Let's look up Hull Breacher. Okay, Hull Breacher. This is the new vintage hotness. Vintage hotness. Okay, not very expensive. Okay, well, we need this in ticks, though. To MTG Goldfish. Look at that big ugly Lud. Okay, how much do you cost online? Oh, you're not that bad. It was over 100 ticks not too long. You can see from the graph it was over 100 ticks. It's now 78 ticks. Not too bad. It's trending down a little bit. But still, that is outrageously expensive. That's insane. It's just insane. People are like, are you going to play Hull Breacher? No. No, I'm not going to play this card. So yeah, I'm not playing Hull Breacher. Forget it. I mean, yeah, I could rent the card. I could spend my entire rental service on this one card, but yeah, it's not going to happen. Interesting. It's that good in Legacy. It's that good in Vintage. How does Vintage move the market so much? This is nuts. Or is this like, or does Commander actually have some influence online? I know Commander has some influence online, but like, I didn't think it would be that much. I mean, that's ridiculous. Anyway, it's an outrageously expensive card online. Again, another card. I don't know. Maybe we can throw it into a Merfolk deck, but that's still to be proven. Merfolk Sovereign, a lord from Exelon. Merfolk Sovereign's not actually a lord from Exelon. Merfolk Sovereign. Okay, let's look at Merfolk Sovereign. I understand why you made that mistake. Also, very hot art. Love it. Explorers of Exelon. This came in a promo pack, or like a promo deck. This wasn't actually print. See, it's Explorers of Exelon, not actually Exelon. This came in like some sort of promo deck, pre-constructed deck thing. It wasn't actually printed in the set, and that's why we don't have Merfolk Sovereign in Historic, because it actually was not printed in the actual. It wasn't actually printed in a standard legal set. It's a box set. Is that what we call it? Yeah. So, Merfolk Sovereign was originally in a core set. It's been printed a million times in core sets too. Let's look at all the prints. Oh, okay. A million times. Apparently 3. Apparently 2, actually. 2, and then Merfolk versus Goblins, which is a completely unbalanced product. I need to do a review on that. Long story short of Merfolk versus Goblins. These creature-based decks are all about the battlefield, what's going on the battlefield. So what they did is they gave each side a big bomb, Master of Waves on our side, and they gave, what's it called, Goblin, no, not God, Cranko on the other side to crank out tokens. Very similar cards for the most part. But here's the deal. Merfolk, the Goblin side has a bunch of spot removal. In fact, 7 pieces of spot removal for Master of Waves. What does the blue side have? Oh, we have like something like Claustrophobia to tap things down, like Cranko, but I only have 2 copies. And all the other cards in the Merfolk side is basically cards that draw cards. Like, that has nothing to do with the battlefield, and they're so clunky. How on earth does Merfolk even compete in the Merfolk versus Goblins duel deck? I don't understand. Anyway, it's a ridiculously unbalanced product. I do not recommend anyone play Merfolk versus Goblins. Just open it for the singles and be done with it. Yeah, Hull Breacher went down a lot. Where's our Hull Breacher? Yeah, here's. So it was It was like 95. I saw it at 100, and now it's gone down to 80ish, 79. It's going down. It's going down because as supply is increasing. Well, as the supply increases, the price is going to go down. It's more around. Absolutely, it's super silly. It's brutal in Vintage. So what, do you think there's any chance? Okay, I mean, I don't play Vintage at all. Is there any chance they restrict this card? Or is this just going to be a staple? Is it going to force the format not to be so focused on drawing cards? It seems like a pretty good anti-Vintage card. Like, also, how good is this? Is it so good that every deck needs to play 4 copies of this? Does every deck need 4 copies of Hull Breacher in Vintage? Don't know how many Vintage aficionados we've got in the house. Vlad is like, hey, Nikachu, I've got things gotten to the point where I can't see my friends anymore in person, so I plan to start using Magic the Gathering online more. Besides using something like Mana Traders, what is the best way to get ticks or point? Oh, points, so I can keep playing without buying ticks for leagues. What is the best way to get ticks? You mean like winning? Okay, so like you can buy. So first off, you can let's talk about play points. Maybe we get a picture of play points. I want a picture of play points. There we go. This is not what I meant to do. Okay, there we go. You can't buy play points. This is like the free currency, not free currency. This is like the tournament currency on Magic the Gathering Online. Something important. There are 2 currencies on Magic the Gathering Online. There's the ticks and then there's the play points. Play points can only buy yourself entries into events. And are non-transferable. Basically have no cash value because you can't sell it. It's only locked to your account. And you can only use it to play in events. And then through those events you can exchange it for something. Now, they can have you can also use ticks to get into events. And remember, 1 tick is $1 if you buy from Magic the Gathering Online itself. However, you can buy ticks on the secondary market. Like, it's not super common, but I mean, you could keep an eye out on Twitter, for example, for people who are selling ticks. Like, I'm selling a bunch of ticks at 0.93 cents or whatever a tick. So you can try to pick out those people. I was asked this question recently, like where to sell ticks. I don't know where anybody sells ticks. I just see people on Twitter randomly throw out messages. Hey, I'm selling a bunch of ticks. This is the price. I don't know if that exactly answers your question, though, because you want to know what is the best way to get ticks or points so I can keep playing without buying ticks. Like, I mean, I guess, what is the best way to grind? Okay, so this would be my recommendation. If you have, the best way to grind is through the leagues, because it will offer you the most reward for, I think, the lowest price. I think the EV and the leagues are pretty good. If you are, all you need is a 50% win rate in leagues, and you break even. So if you're just slightly above it, that's good. The thing is, like in the leagues, if you even go 2-3, you get something back. You'll get some play points. Like you'll get 50 play points. I believe it's 100 play points to play in a league. It will only cost you, you get 50 back if you go 2-3, which is not too bad. And then if you go 3-2 or higher, you'll get your entry fee back plus some treasure chests, which are converted into ticks. So I think that's the best way. It's not the cheapest way to enter the format, because you can play in the 1 versus 1 queues, but you need a higher than 50% win rate there. However, the players there are way worse. So, I mean, I had like a strategy. Good morning, Willie Hall. I did have a strategy where you could start playing in the queues up until you have about, I would say, $30 worth of play points and ticks combined. And then after that, you can move up to the leagues. And then hopefully from there, if you can win in the queues, I think you can win in the leagues. It's just that the value in the queue is way lower than leagues. However, the investment is much smaller. So you need to have a higher win rate in order to break even in the queues. Because you like between the two of you, something like how much goes in? I think 4 ticks worth of stuff goes in and only 3 ticks come out. And then Wizards takes the rest. You can sell them. Well, you can always sell to mana traders, but like you may not always get a good deal. Like those sites buy for like a lot lower margin. I do sell to mana traders when the price is high though. Like when they say, "Oh, we're buying for 0.95 US dollars a ticket." I'm like, "Okay, that's good enough for me." But like, yeah, all those they all like Magic the Gathering Online, Card Hoarder, mana traders. They're all buying your ticks, but they might not be buying at like a great price, and they're all in the same boat. Rearranged says this is okay. Let's get back to Hull Breacher. Has 100% getting taken down to 1. Like it's an even more proactive Narset in the format. It's interesting. That's correct. So Narset prevents people from drawing more than 1 card. This is the same deal, except you're getting a bunch of mana. I mean, imagine someone playing Ancestral Recall. It's like, okay, I draw nothing and you get a Black Lotus, you know? Because essentially you're just getting a bunch of treasure tokens. It's all broken in half. Okay, that's a very interesting. We're going to see Hull Breacher maybe not last too long as a 4X in Vintage. And then the price is going to come down by a lot, because then you only need 1 of them in your deck. You don't need 4. You don't need a playset. Hull Breacher is very strong in Vintage that it could be restricted. I don't think it's restriction worthy. You can play around it / answer it. You can say that about anything though. You know the thing about Vintage, okay, I'm not like in the Vintage community, so you know, take my word with a grain of salt, but I mean, they restricted Chalice of the Void because it was against like almost the purpose of the format, to play with your Moxen, to play with your Black Lotus, to play with like I heard that as an explanation to the restriction of Chalice of the Void. I mean, you would think that Chalice of the Void should have no problem being in Vintage, but ended up being a really big it ended up being a problem. So Hull Breacher might take the same, like be in that sort of same category. Like you make the purpose of drawing a million cards in this format useless. You're welcome, Balada, and good luck. Everyone starts out. I would say in the beginning, start off in the tournament practice area, because the client, if anyone knows, the Magic the Gathering Online client, not intuitive. You click through your turn, you make a lot of accidents. You might want to spend a few weeks in the tournament practice area, which is free, by the way. A lot of people don't know this. You can play games for free on Magic the Gathering Online. The deck will cost you money, but you can play games forever for free in the tournament practice area. You don't have to invest any money in that. And that's where I started, so I could learn the client, because it really sucks to spend money on a league and you accidentally click through your attack step or your turn because you just don't understand the shortcuts, or you just don't understand the stops and how that works. But anyway, that's my suggestion. I use the client a bit, but not a lot. All right. Just want to catch a few more Hull Breachers. Hull Breacher can get pushed or bolted easily. They restricted Chalice because they won't restrict Workshop. So when Wizards said that I think, because I'm pretty sure it came from Wizards' mouth, that they restricted Chalice, like for the environment of the game, were they just BSing? Like we can look it up. Like let's just go find it. I mean, Chalice is restricted Vintage. Here, it's back in 2015. This might have been the banning of. This might have been the ban. Oh, this is very close to the banning of, or maybe it's not close to the banning of Summer Bloom and Splinter Twin. Dig Through Time is restricted. How did that card last for so long? Thirst for knowledge is unrestricted. Black Vise is unbanned. Oh, this was when Black Vise, the big joke, got unbanned. I didn't even know they unbanned it. I totally forgot about it. Okay, what happened with Vintage? Workshop decks have become more and more powerful. However, too many games are effectively decided by the first player's turn. A major problem is that turn 1 Chalice of the Void for 0 deprives the opponent an opportunity to put Moxen on the battlefield. Oh, okay, so it was strictly for workshop decks. While players can adapt by not playing Moxen, while players can adapt by not playing Moxen, the point of the format is to provide a place for those cards. No, it was specifically for this. You know, you could play around Chalice of the Void by not playing your Moxen, but this is what it's for. You know, you could make Chalice worthless by just not playing with your Black Lotus, your Mox Sapphire, your Mox Jet, Emerald, Ruby, Medallion. No, I don't think there's a Medallion. It's a Pearl. This is, at least from what I gather, this is the core point. You could play around this, but that's not the point of this format, to take out your Moxen. Let's see, I should make it larger. The point of the format is a place to play those cards. Oh, by the way, this is we're looking at a really old announcement. This is nothing new. There's no I know it's Monday. People might be caught off guard. There's no BNR announcement. We're looking at something from 6 years ago or 5 years ago. I can, however, buy the argument, yeah, obviously Workshop is a pretty powerful deck. So why isn't Mishra's Workshop restricted? I mean, it doesn't need to get banned, right? What is the big deal restricting this card? It's legal in Vintage. Or is it is it restricted and they tutor it? I don't know. Vintage is intended to play with the most powerful cards in MTG, and ironically you'd think it'd be unbalanced. However, Legacy is way more unbalanced these days. I still think I was talking to Soulstrong, who was who won the Modern Challenge like a few days ago, talking to him through an Among Us game. He said he won a Vintage Challenge before, and he had never played the format. You have any idea how many times I've heard this statement where someone wins a Vintage Challenge and they never played the format before? That's how much luck there is in this format. I never heard once anyone say, "Oh, I just started playing Modern for the first time and I won the Modern Challenge." "Oh, I just started playing Legacy for the first time and I won the Legacy Open." But for Vintage, I've heard this like countless times up to this point. "I just started playing Vintage and I won the whole thing." Wow, I'm a natural genius. Not to say that there isn't, like, if anyone's a poker player out there, I look at Vintage like it's Omaha, like it has this insane variance. Like, yeah, you can have edges, but you can't leverage your skill as much as you can in the other formats. That's the way I look at it. No, it's a 4 of. They won't restrict it because people actively enjoy the format with this kind of powerful stuff in their Vintage. Same, but I keep hearing, I don't know, do they enjoy it? Maybe, is there not a war? It sounds like people don't like this deck. I'm just a bystander. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about Mishra's Workshop, but it sounds like people don't like this deck. Of course, there are going to be people who do like the deck because, hey, it's Vintage. Leave our format alone, you know? You know what I mean? Same reason Bazaar of Baghdad isn't restricted. But what decks play Bazaar of Baghdad? Like, name all of them outside of Dredge, which you can just hose anyway, because Dredge is just Dredge. Dredge is the same bullshit in every format. Dredge and lands. I don't know how the lands deck plays out. I actually didn't even know there was a lands deck in Vintage, to be honest. Restricting Workshop will basically ban 5 grand of cards from the deck. And so it will be done. Yeah, but is it difficult to play because the competition's harder, or is it difficult to play because your edge is weaker? I would argue, just based on the high variance of this format, that it might be difficult only because your edge is lower. Workshop might be legal like Brainstorm and Legacy. Yeah, but Brainstorm is like a 50-cent card. Also, I can't say that Brainstorm is overwhelmingly the best card in Legacy. I know that has been the case. Like, I've played a decent chunk of Legacy over the last 3 years. There's a lot of really good tier 1 non-Brainstorm decks. It doesn't look like it right now because it's like an Oko format, or Oko and Uro format right now. But before those cards were printed, like, it was like lands and death and taxes, and elves is still there, and Delver wasn't doing so hot. There was a lot of non-Brainstorm decks performing really well in Legacy. Okay, the core difference between Legacy and Vintage is that if a card is too powerful, they ban it in Legacy. But if a card is too powerful in Vintage, they restrict it to 1 copy. There's like almost no cards banned in Vintage. In fact, there should be basically Luris is banned. They should unban it. Someone who has never played Vintage shops is bullshit. There you go. We have a very credible opinion here. Competition is more difficult and the variance is warped in favor of Vintage. I'm pretty tired of playing against Uro piles, so recently I tried Death Shadow, Jund, Red Deck wins, but not finding any enjoyment. Any suggestions in Modern, or should I move to Legacy on Magic the Gathering Online? Do you want a deck that beats Uro? Like, are you talking about you are tired of playing Uro and you're just playing other decks? Like, you seem to be playing all the creature centric decks. So if there's like nothing else, yeah, maybe go try another format. Try Legacy. Try Vintage, apparently. Play with Hull Breacher there. I don't have any like really good advice here because it looks like you are a type of person that knows how to jump around and try other things. And if you're not feeling, maybe you're just bored. Maybe you should try Historic on Magic the Gathering Arena. Or if not, I don't know, jump to Pioneer. Pioneer is not a super popular format right now, but it's still a good format. I'm just personally waiting for Wizards to make the announcement, hey, we're going back. We're going back to Pioneer. Big event coming up. Everyone start playtesting, and boom, everyone's going to move to Pioneer in a heartbeat. I promise you that. I'm telling you, the people will go back to Pioneer when Wizard says Pioneer is back. Big tournament coming up. Everyone be prepared, and then we're all going to go back to Pioneer. Not that it's going to kill like Modern or anything, but Pioneer is like more of a niche format at the moment. Rearranged says Vintage is kind of hard to play, to be honest, because you always have to be playing around your opponent doing ultra powerful stuff, so mistakes count for a lot more than even Legacy. I mean, I totally hear you, because in playing Merfolk in Modern, it's a very fragile deck. I have good success with Merfolk in Modern, but you make one small misstep and that's it. You blow the entire match. And that's, I assume, is just for every single Vintage deck. You make one small mistake because it spirals out of control. I mean, I've seen these turns. You can draw your entire deck. You do outrageously nonsense things. Will someone tell me a story about the oldest standard release they've played? I want to hear about the old days. I think I was in a Torment pre-release. Was that when Flashback got invented? Hope this doesn't look up the card. Looked up the card. Maybe the oldest I had was Invasion. Like, I was actually there for the pre-release, but I don't remember much about it. I just remember Kava Titan. Oh, this is going to be a great standard card. Kava Titan. Can't remember if Kava Titan even did anything. Here, there's Kava Titan in all its glory. 2-mana Grizzly Bear. If you can kick it, it becomes a 5/5 with trample. With trample, people. This is unstoppable. This is ridiculous. I believe it was like a limited all-star. I've probably told this story to some of you before, but my very first limited event, it was like around Invasion. It had to be around Invasion. I did not draft a single creature. I drafted nothing. I had counterspells, removal, tons of disruption, no creatures, no win condition. I did not win a single match that event. But I learned a very valuable lesson. You need, in order to win the game, you need to draft win conditions. Painful truth, but the truth. There's a few. Okay, the only things banned are the dexterity cards, the gambling cards, and in vintage. I think that's it. And Luris. The only things banned in vintage. Hold on, let's pull this up. The only things banned in vintage are gambling cards, dexterity cards like Chaos Orb. Oh, and Luris. And Luris, yeah, of course. That's how broken Luris is. You're in the same class as anti-cards and cards that care about dexterity. Shops is basically institutional the way Tron is to Modern. I think they're printing good answers to Tron. Like, there's an easy answer to wipe away Tron, is you just put Wasteland in the format. It's not hard. Now, would they ever do this to Modern? I doubt it. But, I mean, Cleansing Wildfire seems to be a card in the right direction. They keep printing more cards against Tron. I think eventually Tron is going to be more of a... It's always going to be around, but it's going to be more of a niche deck instead of one of the more powerful things you have to prepare for. I predict one day, at least like the classic Tron, Eldrazi Tron might be a little bit different because it's a lot more focused on the creatures and doesn't get disrupted as much by the land hate. But I do foresee somewhere deep in the future, like if you want to play a cloud post like deck in Modern, that Tron is going to be like one of the more niche decks deep in the future because they're gonna print the answers. They're doing it. They're doing all sorts. They did it with Damping Sphere, and they keep pushing more out. We've got Field of Ruin was a big addition. So like they started with Damping Sphere, and many other cards, by the way. Card wasn't great. It was okay, not great. Only could be played in aggro decks that can win before like Tron can still get an Oblivion Stone and crack it. But then they started moving a little bit more in the right direction with Field of Ruin. So Field of Ruin, way better hate card against Tron, much more effective, can be played in any deck, but more importantly was played in the control decks, which was important. Not so great on the draw though, because your opponent can have Tron by the time that you can even activate this once. But now that we have Cleansing Wildfire. And the more the cards that we see these printed, the more cards that get printed like this, the smaller the meta share Tron is getting, because more and more people have access to these hate cards, and they do matter in the matchup. And I expect that Wizards is going to print more of these cards. We're going to see more stuff like Cleansing Wildfire. We're going to see more stuff like Field of Ruin. We're going to see more land hate. We're going to see more Damping Spheres that could be played by more decks or more effective. This is not the end. I think Tron is going to get a stream of hate for eternity, and I think the more reasonable Tron deck that you have to play would be the Eldrazi Tron deck, because even if your lands are getting blown up, at least you can cast like Matter Reshapers and Thought-Knot Seers and stuff like that. I don't know if Luris would be as dominant now with Hull Breacher in all the decks. I think it would be fine, wouldn't it? I mean, you don't draw... Luris doesn't technically draw cards. It's just card advantage, but you're not literally drawing cards, right? All right, you know what time it is, people. You know what time it is. It's deck list review time. So if you want your deck list reviewed, use the command !deck review space. Give the URL to your deck list. Please leave any comments. Let me know what the format is. Are you on a budget? What do you need help with? the main deck, your mana base, your sideboard. Are there any matchups that you could have shorn up? We could most definitely do that for you. And as people are submitting their deck list, we are going to thank our sponsors, starting with the manabase.com, the content site on Pioneer, Historic, Modern, Standard, and more. The Manabase is your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And the Manabase is sponsored by Fusion Gaming Online. And guess what? If you didn't get enough of deals, if you love the deal that's Fusion had, you could get up to 25% off store-wide stuff. If you how it is if you spend over $1,000, you get 25% off. If you spend over $200, you get 20% off. Anything under that, you get 15% off. Great deal. This is the time that I try to buy my singles. Fusion Gaming Online is my favorite local game store. And they're doing it for another day, apparently, Monday. So this is your last day to go try to pick up those last second staples or deals. Spend your Christmas money today before you don't have Christmas money at all. And yeah, Fusion Gaming Online. By the way, remember, Canadian site, Canadian dollars. So the stuff is cheaper than you would think. And we're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. And you can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or you can save yourself 15% off your first 3 months by using my coupon code Nikachu. Mana Traders, basically, if you want to play a deck that's going to get banned, you can always rent it. Don't buy it. Wanted to get cards, but they didn't have what I needed. Damn it. You know what? I hear you. The problem is everything's selling out. Their inventory is dwindling to nothing. Everyone's trying to get in on that sale. I maybe know something to prevent your game crashes after sideboarding. Okay, I'm all ears. I'm all ears, STDLR MTG. While sideboarding the deck and sideboard on pile view, set. I don't know why this would change anything. You mean... I will try to remember this. That works for you. Honestly, if it will get rid of the crashing, I would do that. It's just visually better that I have the card view, because everyone can very clearly see the cards in my deck, the number. Otherwise, if you have the pile view, you have to literally count the cards. I don't understand people. I mean, I understand people do it to see their curve. I know the curve. I can see it in my head, people. But outside of that, I think it visually looks terrible. No Snapcasters or Tarmogoyfs and several others. Damn. There's no Tarmogoyfs? We're hunting for There's Tarmogoyf. You get moderately played. You get the OG one. I think that's cool. Tarmogoyf's here. There's 4 Ultimate Masters near mint. There's a lot of Tarmogoyfs. I don't know when you looked, but they're full in stock with Tarmogoyfs. Let's say about I was surprised. No Tarmogoyfs. That's insane. So we got Ultimate Masters near mint. You can get 4 of them, $60 each. And and that's the thing. So $60, that's $240. Then you get the 20% off after 20. So that is you're saving $48 if you get these. It's buy 3 Tarmogoyfs, basically get 1 free. Are they out of Snapcaster Mages too? 1 in stock, 2 in stock, 2 in stock, 4 in stock for Modern Masters. If you need all of them in one, I mean, I am the type of person I would just want. Well, this is a foil one. If I am the type of person though, I would want I wouldn't want mismatched Snapcaster Mages. But anyway, there's Snapcaster Mages here. They got it. This is baloney. I want practical art. What the hell does that mean? You want this Snapcaster Mage? Well, anyway, you can't say they're not in stock. They got Future Sight and the Dinosaur Tarmogoyf available. It's all there, Balada. Matching art, but you don't care which set art comes from. You know what? The set matters to me. I'm not going to stand for mismatched sets either. It's all got to be from one set. I'm trying to get my Pithing Needles. Actually, let's look for Pithing Needle. Because now I know it's such an important card. You see how... Where is the Pithing Needle? Oh, there's 2 more Pithing Needles. I don't care about the condition. So there, Saviors of Kamigawa. I got one of them yesterday. There was only 1 in stock. Now there's 2 more in stock. Oh, maybe there was only 1 in stock. Oh, there's 2 light play. Okay, well, I gotta buy this after the stream. And if it doesn't, whatever. But I need my Pithing Needles. Nikachu needs Pithing Needles, and they're only gonna come from Saviors of Kamigawa. That's the OG. Want that OG Asian set symbol, that shrine. Need it. Absolutely need it. Okay. Exclamation point. Deck review pick. Mr. Goo's deck list has been chosen. Hello, Nikachu. It's a modern local meta, no budget deck. Local meta is red aggro decks, goblins, burn, dredge, elves, boy control, copycat, tron, and merfolk. Cards would you play against yourself? I'd play Ensnaring Bridge against myself. Actually, that is one of the best descriptions I ever got on this. I'm not kidding. You gave such a good, detailed explanation. I didn't even ask for your meta. You gave the meta, and that helps so much. Oh, we got a Tesserator here. We have a Tezzeret control deck. So we got 2 Spellskite. Karn the Great Creator. Probably need more of these. I think you've actually submitted this deck before, right? This is definitely not the first time I've seen this deck. Fatal Push, 2 Inquisition, Cry of the Cranarium. Is this really the best 3-drop sweeper we got? Whir of Invention, Welding Jar, Executioner's Capsule, Fountain of Renewal, Nihil Spellbomb, Pithing Needle, Witching Well, Mind Stone. 1 Mind Stone seems really out of place. Penthead Prism, Ratchet Bomb, Throne, Torpor Orb, Ensnaring Bridge, Bottled Cloister. Okay, so one thing that I could... Why do we have Spellskite here? Is it just to protect the Planeswalkers? This is Tezzeret Tribal, right? So... Okay, let's go back. No budget. Meta is red aggro decks, aggro goblins, burn, dredge, elves, blue-eye control, copycat, tron, and merfolk. One card that I think would be pretty decent against all of them that I'm not seeing here is Engineered Explosives. I actually think that would be very strong. Engineered Explosives would be really good. It would deal with a lot of... Like, you just go turn 1 Engineered Explosives and you'd prevent your... you'd prevent a lot of those players from, like, emptying their hand full of 1-drops. For burn against Artifact Hate, you have 1 Engineered Explosives in the sideboard. I'm wondering, would this deck benefit from playing Emery? I know that's not really what you're trying to do. Maybe not. You probably can't get a good discount on Emery. But you have like a bunch of Fatal Pushes. Fatal Push is fine. Blast Zone is not bad. It's not bad. It's not a bad card. It's just that it's slow. Can't tutor it with Tezzeret. Okay, hold on. Let's read all the Tesseracts. Can't remember all of them. Look at top 5 cards in your library. Reveal an artifact card among them. Put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Target artifact becomes a 5/5 artifact creature. Target player loses X life and you gain X life. Good ultimate for this metagame. Untap artifacts. Search your library for an artifact with a mana cost X or less. Put it onto the battlefield. So you could like go Tezzeret and go minus and get 0 mana cards, right? For no loyalty. Tezzeret, Master of the Bridge. Creature and Planeswalker spells you have affinity for artifacts. Tezzeret, Master of the Bridge, deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of artifacts you control. You gain X life. That's really good. Return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand, and exile top 10 cards of your library. Put all artifact cards from among them onto the battlefield. If we're playing blue, black, and whir, I think it's pretty free to include a Thopter Sword combo. That's actually quite true. We could play like as one-ofs, right? We have 2 Ensnaring Bridges in this deck. Like, this seems like a waste of a Word of Invention. And also, like, okay, hold on. What is the meta again? Okay, red aggro decks. If you can empty your hand, you can beat... Well, I wouldn't say you can beat all the red aggro decks because they can still burn you out. Aggro goblins. Burn, dredge. Dredge is easy. You just play with more like graveyard. You play with more graveyard hate, and there's just no other answer to it. Yeah, I can see you could have some trouble against red decks because they're fast and they shoot your face and ignore bridge. That's the problem. Blue control sucks though. That's hopefully you would have a good matchup there. Or maybe not. Maybe they're just a better control deck than you are. Copycat, Tron, and Merfolk. It's a very varied... It's a lot of decks, actually. Well, I don't know if that's what you're looking for help for. That's just what you're... Okay, well, the most important question is, which matchups are you having trouble against? Copycat? You have Pithing Needle in this deck. Well, here's why 3 Word of Invention. Is there a single word deck that played less than 4? Because this is a tutor, and I understand you have other tutors in this deck. This is a tutor into play, though. I'm just curious, did a Word Prison deck ever play with less than 4 Word of Invention? It's hard to cast worse sometimes, then we got to make it easier. Yeah, this deck plays 4 Word of Invention. Okay, what's your mana base like? You have 22 lands. This is colorless. This is also colorless. Creeping Tar Pit, Darksteel Citadel. Is that necessary? 2 Field of Ruin. Oh, you have like very little blue mana. And the Urborg doesn't help either. What did this mana base do? We have 1 island, 3 Glimmer Void, 1 Snow-Covered Island, Academy Runes, 4 Teleria West, 1 Tectonic Edge. Well, there's a lot of colorless mana in here too. But it played 1, 4, 5, 9, 13, 14, 17, 18 blue sources. What do we got here? 2. I guess we can count this as 3, 4, 8, 12. But you're 2. Well, should we be copying this mana base? Like, this is a multicolor deck too, isn't it? Or is it? No, maybe this is just mostly mono blue with a splash of green. But still, Spire of Industry. Pay 1 life. Add 1 mana to your mana pool. Activate this ability only if you control an artifact. I guess you still need... You're playing with Inquisition. This is a bit of a different deck. This is a bit too different. You have Inquisition of Kozilek and Fatal Push. You might not have that black mana on turn 1. Yeah, the deck did get to play with Opal. And this deck is playing with these early mana... well, I mean, the other deck played with, what's it called? Ancient Stirrings, I guess. But you didn't need to play it on turn 1. I mean, the simple, easy way of beating Copycat, at the very least, would be to play with more Pithing Needle effects just to prevent the combo from going off. Or maybe I should ask, like, how are you losing to Copycat? You have a lot of good cards. I mean, like, another way of beating it is just with hand disruption. Some cards are useless, like Cry the Canarium. That's not going to do anything to them. Like, do you lose to the combo? Okay, so 3 mana to Fairy, bounces Pithing Needle, but you can also name 3 mana to Fairy. Hmm. Hmm. Probably an even better card would be the Sorcerer's Spyglass we were talking about earlier, because you get to see what's in their hand first, and if you can nail a Teferi Time Raveler even before it enters the battlefield, that's useful. Because the deck is like mostly activated abilities, right? I mean, they also have other control elements. I mean, they can counterspell, they can like bounce things with Cryptic Command. I don't know how this deck plays out. It's like you are quite a bit like chunkier and clunkier to get your game going versus them. Okay, hold on, what's the sideboard like? We have Engineer Explosives, Welding Jar, Expertate. I'm not in love with this card. Like, what do you have this for? Like, this could be something else. I don't mind Unmoored Ego. Witchbane Orb is fine. Sun Droplet, Liquid Metal Coating, Defense Grid, Damping Sphere. Aggro Goblins, Dredge, Elves, Blade Control, Copycat, Tron, and Merfolk. You don't seem to have enough. Okay, so not enough early interaction to bridge into the mid game. So here's the thing. I don't know why you have 3 Damping Sphere, because you don't even seem to have the meta for it. Your meta is like mostly creature based. Like there's just Tron, but you should try to fight Tron on a different axis. Like unless you have a lot of Tron, that you need to have 3 Damping Sphere in your sideboard. So I'm just trying to clear up your sideboard so that you have maybe more like even access to 4 Thoughtseize or something, you know? No, just one Tron, then you're going overboard with the Damping Sphere. Like Damping Sphere is not good against goblins, burn, dredge, elves, blue-white control, copycat, or merfolk. So you have like 3 Damping Sphere for no reason. Maybe you should have 0 Damping Sphere, or at most 1. So I'm trying to clear up your sideboard. This is very unnecessary. Pithing Needle, like it's good against copycat, but maybe not worth having so many. Quite honestly, you should probably have main deck bridge in your deck. I mean, you probably do have main deck bridge, or more ways of getting it because you have such a creature-based deck. You need to have a lot of snowlands in play in order to play Dead of Winter, so I don't think this is a deck for it. There's like a lot of non-snowlands. Like here we have 6 lands. I guess you could try to fetch for them all. No, because oh, wait a minute. Yeah, maybe it does. Hold on, Torpor Orb. Oh, well, I got it here, right? Problem is, anything can get bounced by Teferi Time Raveler. I don't see Torpor Orb here. Torpor Orb is in the main deck. Creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. So, Felidar Guardian won't trigger and blink. Because the only other way I can see beating control is to rip their hand apart. Because you don't really have access to anything, or you play counter spells. You are a blue deck, so maybe we can fit some like mystical disputes into the sideboard that can help you in that matchup. I don't know if that's the most effective plan, because I really don't know how this game plans out. But the only thing I can help is maybe just clear up some sideboard slots. Damping Sphere is not for your meta game. Nihil Spellbomb is fine. How much dredge is there? Is there literally 1 dredge? Because you have quite a bit of graveyard hate for 1 matchup. Or maybe not. Maybe you have an okay number of graveyard hate. Well, you could try it. I mean, you go for a Thoughtseize route because you have some hand disruption, but not a lot. Frankly, I think it's weird to actually have like 2 Inquisition of Kozilek. Maybe you should just have more Fatal Push because it's just such a Your meta seems to be more about what's on the board, not what's in their hand, with the exception of a few decks. I might even go more Fatal Push just because you have such a creature-based metagame. Oh yeah, Metallic Rebuke. That's a great card in these types of decks. You can side this in against Control, too. This would be fine against Control and against Tron. So you can improvise. It's like... your artifacts can help cast this spell. It's like Convoke. It's quite good. It's actually better than Mystical Dispute. Screw that. Screw Mystical Dispute. Just play Metallic Rebuke. Werebear Activist is 100% right here. What else can we do? Cry of the Canarium seems fine. You have a... It looks stupid, but after you listed off like this huge creature-based metagame, maybe this makes more sense. Or you should have... If you have the time, Damnation would be better. If you don't have the time, Cry of the Canarium is fine. War of Invention. Spell Scout, I guess, is okay. Again, you have a pretty creature-based format. Also, this might even protect you against Control sometimes. I don't know. Redirect the Teferi trigger to Spellskite. Just looking for some other stuff. This seems like an underwhelming win condition. How often do you win with Creeping Tar Pit? Okay, so if Damnation and... I think I remember we might have talked about that before. You have a lot of stuff at 3 and 4 mana. Like at 4 mana, you want to start playing your like Karns, your Tezzeret, Agent of Bolus. Somehow I feel like I want a third Karn the Great Creator. Karn the Great Creator just wins by itself. I would rather be playing with Karn Tribal than Tezzeret Tribal, but I understand you have a flavor of Tezzeret. I would try to squeeze in another Karn. I might go -2 Inquisition, +1 Fatal Push, +1 Karn. Like, Karn just wins, period. Oh, hold on. Yeah, we do have liquid. Like, Karn into liquid metal coating just for some reason wins a lot of games by itself. So, Creeping Tar Pit actually does something in this matchup? Against control decks? I find it hard to believe, especially since they have Field of Ruin. It just seems like a card that comes into play tapped. Random idea, how to go about value and sell my collection. I have 2 to 3K cards from the 90s. Holy crap. Will you... Oh, so, well, here's the deal. You want money fast, or do you want the money fast but at a lower value, or do you want the money... You want more money but stretched over a longer period of time? If you want money tomorrow, you go to a local game store, look up a local game store that buys cards. They'll buy the cards off of you for about like 60, anywhere between 50 to 70% of what they're worth, pending the card. And mind you, condition matters. So if the condition is not crystal clear, clean mint, the price goes down. They'll bulk buy they'll buy your whole collection in a heartbeat. However, if you want the most value out of it, and you want to do the research, and I have a feeling if you're asking this question, this might be a lot more work for you than you would like to. But then if you want to research what your cards are worth in the condition and compare it to other cards on the market and put it on Facebook groups or eBay or TCG Player, you can get more money out of your cards. But you have to wait. You'd have to wait for buyers, and then you have to individually mail them to every single person. It can be a real hassle. So, but you can get 90% of the value of a card if you sell it on the secondary market, whereas you would get like between 50 to 70% of it if you sell to a game store. But you get the money immediately. They do all the work, all done in one day. They write you a check and it's over. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I know I have some worth 5. Name your cards. Tell us. If you're randomly from the past, name some cards for us. Anyway, I hope that was some valuable. I hope we gave something valuable to you, Mr. Goo. I'm glad to hear about this Tezzeret deck again. It's been a while. Gauntlet of Might, oldest ones. Gauntlet of Might. I would love to put you on the show. Gauntlet. I don't even know what Gauntlet of Might is. Apparently, this is a card. Oh no, it does exist. Which one? Is it white border? Does it have a black border? Tell us, Raptor. Raptor Dave, you are now the star of the show. It's always exciting to hear somebody who has like a collection from like 20 years ago. Hey, I found some round corner. They're all round corners. Is the border black or is it white? That's the question. It's black. Are you talking? Okay, so you're talking about like a really, really round one. Let's zoom out of here for a second. What is this thing worth? Limited edition alpha. $1,000. What the hell? Why? All red creatures gain +1/+1, and all mountains provide an extra red mana when tapped. This is actually a little bit busted. Is this a reserve list? It has to be a reserve list. There's no way it's $1,400 otherwise. Now that is old cards, and this is ultra EDH playable. Here, you get to learn today, Raptor Dave, the value of your cards. And remember, this is mint condition, though. If there's like creases, and it's very difficult to end Guy's Cradle. I have 5 of those for some reason. We have a million Guy's Cradles. Urza Saga. All right, you have a 732. That card actually almost went to $1,000 recently. So this is it's 720. Maybe I should have. Can I make this larger? Problem is, it makes the card makes this thing too big. I don't think Guy's Cradle's overpriced. I mean, I think there's not that many Guy's Cradles out there, and it is an incredibly busted land. Think of it this way: this is Guy's Cradle is Tolarian Academy for creatures, and it's legal in Legacy. Tolarian Academy for creatures, and it's legal in Legacy. I think this card is busted as hell. This is really stupid. Yeah, Guy's Cradle is amazing. $732. And sort of dropping because it had a big spike, but it's still gonna be a lot of money no matter what. It's not going down. It's not going anywhere. What else do you got? You might actually. Did you look up every single card? Because otherwise, you might have some like incredibly good, valuable cards and you don't even know about it. Like some people look at like Tabernacle of Pendril Vale. Oh no, it's the Tabernacle. I forgot. Every single time I try to look up Tabernacle. Some people look at this like, oh, this is a scrub card. Who would ever want this? This is a pile of garbage. Oh, it's almost $3,000. Not that Raptor Dave has this. What else do you got, Raptor? If you have anything else, or is that the most exciting stuff that you found from your old collection? And they'll be buying because people want these cards right now. They're hot. They're hot stuff. Also, if you have very few cards, like when you propose this question to me, also there is security. I should mention another thing. It's a lot more secure to sell to a local game store. It would really suck if you're not like a huge seller of Magic cards and you get ripped off trying to sell online. Selling in person is not too bad, but selling, when you said like I have a bunch of old cards, I thought it was going to be like a bunch of maybe $40, $50 cards. You have cards that are worth thousands of dollars. Might be hard to find a buyer locally. I mean, you can try, but if it's just a few cards, you might actually, if you're literally just trying to sell these 6 cards, the Guy's Cradles and the Gauntlet of Might, you might be better off selling it at a Facebook group and just negotiate, hey, we got to meet in person and we'll do a cash exchange somewhere. Or I don't know, what would anyone else recommend? Meet at a police station so you don't get mugged? I don't know how people exchange cards like this for this much amount of money. I know. I threw my Force of Wills. I think I threw my Force of Wills away. I used to own 4. Then when I got back into the game in 2010, I'm like, "Where's my Force of Wills?" I'm like, I must have threw it away. It was just an uncommon. Where'd Raptor Dave go? Is he gone? Did we lose Raptor Dave? This is exciting for a second. Raptor Dave's still here. Maybe he's looking through his collection. Honestly, stores are very excited about cards like these. Like if you give your local game store advance notice of the cards you have, they just set aside time for you and take money out of the bank before meeting you. Yeah, and actually, I think the local game stores would pay like a little bit better than normal than regular cards for these super premium cards. Like these are really premium cards. I know my local game store, Fusion Gaming, they're always buying. They'll cut you a few grand check. Someone got mugged for 2 Black Lotuses on some Craigslist deal. That's what I'm saying. Like for a big cash exchange, maybe you gotta, like, I don't know, meet with a bunch of friends versus their friends, or I don't know where people do it. Honestly, like when I buy electronics on the secondary market, I like meet at a mall where it's just full of people. Like, okay, if you're gonna try to steal something from me, you're gonna do it in front of like a bunch of security cameras and like a million people. So good luck with that. Arm yourself with information. Find someone to evaluate your collection first before selling it so you know the prices. Well, we're doing it right now. We're arming them with some information. Preferably get someone who isn't going to buy it to evaluate it. Freedom Gaming in Canton, Ohio would be very likely to give you a good deal on your cards if you're anywhere near that. There you go. You hear that? You got tons, all the buyers. All of a sudden, I thought you were just trying to sell a bunch of random stuff, but now all of a sudden we realize, oh, you got good stuff there. By the way, here's a third option, or I don't know, maybe not a third, a second option. You could hold on to these cards. Let's go like MTG stocks. Let's go to or what's your favorite site, Lord Magicus, for looking up prices online? Yeah, Rudy at Alpha Investments is always buying this stuff. I think it was like MTG Price or something. Can't remember if it's MTG Price or something like that. I don't think that's the site. Lord Magicus, what's your favorite site for looking up prices? Okay, forget it. I'm just looking at MTG stocks. Okay, let's look at Gaia's Cradle, for example. So like you have the option, if you don't need the money, you have the option to just hold on to the card and then sell it at a later date. Because as you see, like cards, the good cards that you have, they keep going up in value. So I mean, like back in like seven years ago or 8 years-ish ago, Gaia's Cradle was like $70, and it's like incrementally moving up and up and up. And then recently it has like a catastrophic big spike to it. And boom, where are we at here? We're at like, it was at $1,000 recently. And it's receding down, but it's going to stabilize somewhere. So you do have the option to like not sell and just hold on to it if you don't need the money. People usually sell the cards because they need the money at some point, or they are tempted by the money. Oh my God, my Gaia's Cradle is $1,000. Got to sell out. Got to sell those Gaia's Cradles right now. It's never going to $1,000 again. Just like people said, oh, it's never going back to $150 again. It's never going to $269 again. It's never going to $450 again. It's never going to $522 again. And then there's going to be people who are like, it's never going to $1,000 again. It's never going to happen, people. It's never going to happen. So anyway, that's going to be it for Coffee and MTG. That was a very exciting Coffee and MTG. That wasn't too bad. That was a surprise ending there, where we learned someone randomly has a bunch of old reserve list cards. And maybe even more stuff, like I'm sure they knew Gaia's Cradle was a good card. There's all sorts of, because there's like all sorts of niche, rubbish reserve list cards that end end up being expensive just because it's reserve list. There's all sorts of cards that were really bad back in the day that are only good today because of Commander. But like way back in the day, they were like completely useless draft crap, or like just nonsense. They were just unplayable on all metrics, but they were reserve list and they found a home in EDH today, so they actually have a lot of value. Okay, so that's going to be it for Coffee and MTG. But if you're watching the stream, we are going to continue with gameplay. So don't change that dial. Don't go anywhere. Wait the 30 seconds. But for everyone watching on the replay on YouTube, that's going to be it for today. Thank you very much, everyone, for submitting your deck list. Oh, by the way, if I didn't get to your comments, your questions, your deck list, don't worry. We do this. Ooh, we may not be doing this on twitch.tv for longer. The morning show might be moving. I'm going to see how I feel about it. But just to forewarning people, the morning show might be moving to simultaneously Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Simultaneously moving. And you could catch me on any one of those places. I don't know if we can do deck list review though if we're going to make that move, but it might be if the numbers are okay. And I see I have about 55 people watching this morning. That's not too bad, but I'd love to get my Twitch numbers higher. But anyway, for the meantime, we're doing it at twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. Time is still the same, Monday to Friday, 9:00 a.m. Central Standard Time. So thank you for, apologies. At work, I shouldn't be trying to type. Thanks again. You're welcome. Good luck. Come back tomorrow. Tell us more about your cards. It'd be exciting to hear about what other stuff you have. Because it's really exciting to hear these stories about, hey, we had a box of old Magic cards in our garage. Are they worth anything? Yeah, they are worth something. And I hope if you watch the replay on we have a lot of good advice for you. I hope you were listening. And if not, you can catch the replay on Twitch. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today. And I'll see you at the next cup. So take care. See you next time.